Hey, this is Rex, and you're watching the Brick Ninjas. Alright, today is December 15th. I saw The Last Jedi this morning with some friends. This is going to be a spoiler review. I'm going to try to go through this as sequentially as possible, but there are some things that I will probably get stuck on. Initial, again, alert, there is going to be spoilers. If you don't want to know anything about the film, don't watch this review. It's hard to review this film without being spoiled, or without having spoilers, so I'm just going to go ahead and put those in there. So, straight up, I did not like the film. It didn't feel like a Star Wars movie to me. It had elements of Star Wars, but story-wise, the cadence of the movie, how it flowed, what the characters did, it went out. And I appreciate what they did. I appreciate that. I know a lot of fans wanted them to do something different, to be new, to be original. But they did recycle a lot of stuff from previous movies, and this new stuff they put in there, to me, just didn't feel like a natural progression for that Star Wars universe. Skip beginning. The movie starts with a sequence where Poe is kind of facing off by himself against the First Order, and it starts off with humor, and that really took me out of it. The second I heard like the joke that Poe was playing on Hux, I was like, why is there a joke here? This just took me out of the movie. I saw those credits, that title crawl, and then I was like, okay, I'm excited. Even though I was a little worried, as you can see in my last trailer review, I got excited. And then about literally a minute into the movie, that joke happened where Poe was acting like he couldn't hear General Hux, and Hux kept having to repeat himself. I was like, this is stupid. Why is this here? Why are you, you just set me up for a comedy? What's going on here? Okay, the next thing that I remember is, they have a little space battle. It's normally what happens. And then we get to Rey and Luke. I'm like, okay, cool, finally. I get to see Luke Skywalker. It's been 30 years. What's up? Let's see what's going to happen. Let's see Luke throw down or have a real reason why he's a little worried about some things. Rey hands him the lightsaber, and he just throws it over his shoulder without a care. He doesn't care. He doesn't want... He's like, whatever, don't care. It's a joke to me. I'm an old crotchety bastard. Who cares? What? That doesn't make any sense. Luke's character is filled with hope. He's a legend. He defeated Darth Sidious. He defeated Darth Vader. He not only did he defeat Darth Vader, he brought him to the light side. And he made him defeat the Emperor. He just throws it, doesn't care, doesn't know, whatever. I'm just going to be a jerk, basically. What? That didn't make any sense to me. And as comical as it was like an outtake or a blooper to me. I would have liked to have seen that as a blooper, but not in the movie. That's not Luke's character to me. Alright, moving on to the... I'm going to try and get parts I like, but mostly, most of the film, I was taken out of it thinking, do I like this movie? Am I liking it? I know I'm not. Can I like it? I'm trying, but I couldn't. I left the movie not happy, and kind of feeling let down. And when comparing it to other films, I'll get into that a little later. It doesn't measure up to any other where the other films leave you at when they end. This movie did not do this. I will say that this movie gave me a lot more respect for Force Awakens and how J.J. Abrams handled that. At the same time, I understand J.J. Abrams avoided Luke Skywalker. He did not want to handle that character, and that's why he did that movie the way he did it. He did not want to touch Luke Skywalker. He didn't want to be the guy that got blamed with screwing up Star Wars and destroying people's childhood with Luke Skywalker. So he did nothing with that character. He just left him in this cool place, made him look cool, and that's it. That's all he did. And I appreciate that as much as I think it's a cop-out. The Force Awakens, I think, was a good movie. Definitely compared to this. I don't like this movie probably more than the prequels. for certain reasons. And I'm sure I'm going to get flack for that. And whatever, it's my opinion. It's subjective. If you love this movie, good for you. If you liked it, I'm happy for you. I didn't like this movie, and I don't have to like this movie, and you don't have to not like this movie. So moving on, after Luke just tosses a lightsaber, he doesn't want anything to do with Rey. He doesn't care about her, doesn't care about anything. Leave me alone. He changes clothes into this dark stuff, and then he goes and milks this space cow, or I don't know what the hell it is, but he gushes milk out of this disgusting creature, and then drinks it. Like a slob. I don't understand. Like, why are we making... Like, where are all these jokes coming from, and why is everything slapstick? This is Star Wars. Star Wars has always taken itself seriously with subtle humor. I mean, like, even Jar Jar Binks, to me, wasn't as injected humor as there was in this movie. I don't like Jar Jar either. Side with y'all. Anyways, he does that. And then we cut to... Where did we cut to? I'm trying to remember. I think we cut back to what's going on with the Resistance. And they're kind of getting their butt kicked by the First Order. So to skip some things here, basically the plot of this film is Rey wants to get Luke to come back and beat the First Order. The Resistance is stuck because they have low fuel, and the First Order's been able to track them through light speed. So they're staying just like out of distance, which I don't know how far that is. It looked like, maybe the distance from the sun to Mercury, and that was just far enough that the First Order couldn't hit or really damage the Resistance ships as they were kind of waiting for something to happen to get them out of this mess, because they only had enough fuel for one more light jump, and then they were done. And then if they light jumped, the First Order could just destroy them after they tracked them. So they didn't want to do that, and they only had enough for a small jump, I guess. So that's kind of where we're left with that, which is, to me, that's a really weak plot. Like, seriously, that is a very weak plot. Like, I'm just watching people pretty much die in slow motion at this point. Because the First Order is kind of picking off the ships as... I think there's like 6 or 7 ships, and they're just losing fuel as they go. So the First Order is just picking them off as they fall behind. But it can't really hit the main ship. Then we cut to Finn and this new character, Rose, whom everybody's like, oh, I love Rose. I didn't care about Rose. Rose was a pretty pointless character that really only cared about saving animals on some other planet, which we'll get into in a second. So Finn and Rose decide to go to... they contact Maz Kanata, and she tells them to go find this code cracker to help them get on the First Order ship and turn off its tracker so they don't know, and they can make a jump, and then the First Order won't be able to find them, and they'll have some time to kind of regather troops and resupply and stuff. So they go off to this, and while they're talking to Maz, she's like in a battle, which makes no sense, and it's like a joke, again, about union negotiations. Everything in this movie is a joke. Like, that's how they sold most of it. It's a joke. Oh, we'll make it funny so people just buy it. Even though this is a lantern, we're telling you what's happening, we're going to make it funny so that you can overlook it and suspend disbelief. I couldn't do that. I was like, why is this funny? Like, this whole Resistance is about to get defeated and crushed. These people are going to be killed. Luke Skywalker doesn't care. And we're joking about trade negotiations and unions with Maz Kanata. Anyway, she tells them to go find some code cracker on Canto Bight, which is this casino planet. So Finn and Rose, who he just met, decide to go do this. They go to Canto Bight, where they really wind up just saving a bunch of animals everybody's racing. And Canto Bight it tried to be a Mos Eisley. And they even did a variation on the Mos Eisley Cantina theme music when you get to Canto Bight. Which I thought was cool. I was like, okay, cool variation, but okay. I don't know. I'm already taken out by the humor and some of the silliness here, and just the decadence. Like, they're just really trying to make fun of a certain people, I guess, in this movie, which was just silly to me. So anyways, they get to this planet, and Rose has a heart for these animals that they're racing, and she wants to save them. So while she's thinking about that, they go off and they get arrested for parking their craft on a beach, I guess. And they bump into DJ, which is Benicio del Toro's character, which I thought Benicio del Toro was good. He acted really well in the movie. I didn't really care for his character too much. He really had a passing role and just kind of a let me get these people in this trouble kind of sense and make a couple statements. He makes some interesting statements that it's obvious. There's really no... He's like, there's no good, there's no bad. The people on this planet, they sell weapons to the bad guys and the good guys. And they're making money off of war. That's all they're doing. Which, I don't know if I really take Star Wars as a political propaganda kind of thing, which... I don't know. I wanted to take me out of what the heck is going on these days, and it didn't do that. It kind of just stuck me in it, and that's what it did. I didn't like that. Anyways, so they get stuck in prison. They find DJ. DJ gets them out, which is the Benicio del Toro's character. He has a way of code cracking. I guess he's the code cracker they're looking for, which they didn't realize, and he just wants to make a buck. So there's that. We cut back and forth a lot to what's going on with Rey and Luke. There was one cool scene with Luke where he's like he doesn't want to train Rey. She won't leave him alone. While he's contemplating this, they cut to a scene where there's porgs and all these weird creatures on this planet now that we didn't see any hide nor hair of in The Force Awakens, but suddenly they're there. So they really just serve as comic relief, and I mean, they didn't steal the movie. They weren't the heroes like the Ewoks were, which, the whole Ewok thing never really bothered me. Maybe because I saw it as a kid. But these characters in this movie, like, there was no exposition to explain why they were there before. Now we're just supposed to accept that they are part of this planet. And the porgs, it was all comic relief. Like, it just was a little too much for me. So they cut to a scene where I guess Chewbacca gets hungry and he kills a couple of these things and he eats them. And they don't show you killing them, but he cooks them and they look like chicken. And he's about to eat one, and there's a couple porgs sitting there like, no, making a noise. I'm like, if he's already killed it, like, why is this whole movie about saving animals? Except fish. We can kill and eat fish, but we can't kill and eat porgs or whatever else is on this planet. And other planets like Canto Bight with these big, huge, horse-looking kind of creatures. So there's that. And Chewbacca suddenly gets a conscience and doesn't want to eat the animal. So, the porg. And he saves a couple as friends and dumps the ones he was going to eat that he already cooked and killed anyways. So finally, Luke, there was this one scene I thought was kind of cool. It was done right until Luke's response, which I didn't care for so much. It should have been a little more serious or something. But it's where Luke is talking to R2 on the Millennium Falcon. He's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to train her. And there's nothing you can say to make me want to do it. And then R2 displays the original message from A New Hope. From Princess Leia. Like, you're our only hope, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Please save us. And I thought that was cool. That was endearing. I was like, okay, yeah, that's sentimental. I like that. That's a cool nod to everything that Star Wars is. Hope. Which, up to this point, Luke is not embodying at all. So, he's like, okay, he says, well, that was cheap, R2, but he decides to go ahead and train Rey. Now, I'm skipping back a little earlier. I forgot to touch on this. There's a scene where, while the Resistance is fighting the First Order, Kylo Ren flies through, and you think he's going to kill Leia or shoot her part of the ship where he's at, and he doesn't. But the two TIE fighters next to him do, and they blow Leia out into space. And I'm like, oh, that's how they're going to kill Leia in this. I guess they decided to just end her character and cut out her parts later on. That makes sense, It's a little early for me to be killing her, but all right, whatever. I know that Carrie Fisher's not with us anymore. She passed away. So she can't be in the next movie, so they've got to do something with that character. Well, then they bring her back because somehow she has the Force ability to survive in space. Even though she's frozen, she is able to wake up and glide back to safety into this ship. That was to me, that was jumping the shark. That point was like, that's just ridiculous. That's not Star Wars. Seriously, she's never exhibited any Force abilities or anything other than to kind of sense when Han Solo dies, or to hear Luke call her at some point. Like, that's it. So, really? So she floats back into the ship. They put her on ICU, and they're trying to get her back into health. Totally took me out of it there. I was like, oh, okay, she's not going to die there. Maybe, I guess later. So now the rest of the movie, I'm waiting for her character to die. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? I thought they'd already taken care of it. They didn't. Okay. So Luke decides to help Rey. Let's cut back to that. While this is all going on, somehow Kylo Ren and Rey are able to communicate. And they explain how it's done later. It's, Snoke is actually behind the scenes, without either of their knowledge, connecting them via the Force to actually communicate and see each other. And those scenes were I don't think they were set up well, but they were done well. I thought that they were pretty cool. And they kind of start getting into where Rey's lineage is, which apparently, and I have to think this is BS. This is just, they're going to really reveal who her parents are in the next movie, or that's just what they're using to dangle a carrot in front of you to see the next movie. Because this movie kind of left me not really caring to go see the next movie. Not really caring about Star Wars anymore, which is a big bummer. Anyways, they reveal her parents through dialogue from Kylo Ren that her parents were drunks. She's just some random girl. They sold her so that they could go party some more and drink. And they're probably dead, and they have no idea where they are. That's Rey's parents. No lineage to the Skywalkers. No special background. No special birth like Anakin Skywalker. She's just some random girl who happens to be super powerful with the Force. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't go, oh, you got a high midi-chlorian count, which they did not do, thankfully. But they just made her this random person, and I think they're trying to sell the idea of, it's universal. Anybody can use the Force, which is not originally what the movies were like. The Chosen One was supposed to really be Luke Skywalker, the lineage of Skywalkers, born from a weird, a fatherless birth. His father was, and he was supposed to restore balance to the Force. That's really that's canon from Star Wars, the Clone Wars and the Rebels and all that stuff, and the original Star Wars trilogy. So, anyways, there's a lot of dialogue there. It was some interesting scenes. They're kind of playing like they're telling you a little bit of what happened between Luke and Ben Solo at the Jedi Academy. They're telling you one version, and then they're telling you another, and then they get a third part, which is what really happened. And basically, Luke starts sensing a lot of the dark turmoil in Ben Solo, and succumbs to his own emotions and decides, in a split second, he's going to kill him, and then he's like, oh, this is terrible, why am I going to do this? There's still some good in him. Which, again, does not match Luke Skywalker's character at all. I mean, if he faced Vader and would not give up on him, even with just the slightest shred of the possibility Vader could go light again, I don't see Luke's character being like, oh, I'm just going to kill my nephew because I sense a little bit of, or I sense some strong dark side in him. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't fit the canon, doesn't fit the character of all the dialogue and exposition we've had in all these movies. Just doesn't fit the character to me. All right, I'm gonna kind of speed along. Still, there's a lot of jokes. They're funny jokes. They're funny, but they just felt so out of place in this movie to me. If they would have cut back on half of them, I think I could have dealt with it. And like I said, it's not stupid. They're funny jokes. It's just there was too much of it. It was like borderline comedy. The movie was borderline comedy because of all these jokes. So Luke decides to start training Rey, teaching her some things, and she decides, I've got to save, I've got to go help. I can tell that Ben has some call to the light, and I think I can turn him. This is a whole another, tip of your hat to The Empire Strikes Back. She cuts her training way too short, goes off to save somebody she barely knows and hates first half of the movie, but suddenly has a connection with, emotionally, for whatever reason. So she goes back, turns herself into the First Order. Luke is like, don't do this. And she faces Snoke, who reveals that he's the one that's kind of force connected her and Kylo Ren, and that he's gonna find out where Luke is so he can go kill himself. So he force holds her, and she's fighting so bad she's shaking, and he reads her mind and it's like, oh, okay, now I know where Luke is, and he's pretty smart to do what he did, but I'm gonna go after him anyways, and I'm gonna make Kylo kill you. Ha ha ha. Even though you're more powerful than Kylo, and I've been telling Kylo what a weak Jedi he is this whole time, I suddenly trust him to be more powerful. And I see that he's really strong, and ha ha ha. And then Rey force pulls, while she's being held by Snoke, force pulls the Luke's original saber to herself, which Snoke makes fly past her, come back, hit her in the head as another joke, and then land back next to him on his armrest in this big chair he's sitting on. Now he's telling Kylo Ren, I can see he's going to kill you, and he's just kind of explaining it, I guess, to kind of rub it in Rey's face, and Rey's like, don't do it, Kylo. Kylo is actually plotting, I don't know how he pulled this off, but he turns the lightsaber that's sitting next to Snoke and makes it cut Snoke in half and kills him. Okay, so now Snoke is completely meaningless, or Snoke is completely meaningless in all these movies. There's no purpose for him. None. I was starting to I was like, okay, cool, maybe there's something about Snoke here. Maybe this is where my attention needs to be. Maybe this will kind of pull the movie together. Nope, kill him, done. Powerful, powerful character that created a whole new First Order and made a planet into a Death Star is dead at the stroke of a lightsaber that he apparently didn't see coming, even though he is mastermind all this stuff that's been happening. So we don't know who Snoke is, and we don't know what his purpose, his motives are, anything about him. Somebody had said that they think that this is why Rian Johnson's getting a trilogy to go make a whole 3 movies about Snoke. I don't think so. I think Rian Johnson's going to make a movie about the boy at the end. That's or how the Jedi, anybody can be a Jedi and use the Force. Anyways, Snoke gets killed, which to me was weird and just didn't fit. But this does lead to a really, really cool scene where Rey and Ben just destroy the Praetorian Guard. But the Praetorian Guard are they start, because they're all kind of surrounding Snoke as this happens. So they all kind of get in their battle stance, and they start fighting. And it was a really cool scene. Really done well, shot well. Very impressive. Directed well, pulled off, believable, very cool looking, cinematic and all that good stuff. And really good. A couple spots where I'm kind of did that? It didn't look like it happened like that, but whatever. Rey and Ben, or Kylo, kill the Praetorian Guard. And I'm like, cool, okay, so now they're together, I guess. What are they going to do? Is he actually going to come to the light? Nope. He's full dark now, which they've set no exposition for, because basically Kylo was kind of weak in the first movie, questioning himself a lot, never really came to terms or age or whatever he needed to do. Suddenly in this movie, even though this movie, there's really no time in between The Force Awakens and this movie, those movies-wise, that anything happened, because it all happens right in sequence. So there's no exposition to create or explain why suddenly Kylo is the one who's playing Snoke. That just didn't make sense to me. If he's that evil, then why didn't he kill Leia earlier? He didn't kill Leia. He's not that evil. Suddenly he's more evil than this really evil Snoke dude. And he kills him, and now he wants to take over the whole galaxy and be just like Darth Vader. Out of nowhere, why is this character's neurotic? I don't get it. He's not focused. He's not driven. He just can do a couple cool sword moves and can stop some bolts with his Force. That's about it. So him and Rey get into it, and she gets out and leaves, and she makes it out. However, I forget how she even does it. I was so kind of pulled out of the movie, trying to think, do I like this? Do I not? Cut to all this stuff. DJ's character sells out Finn and Rose to the First Order, gets all this money, a new ship, and while this is happening, the Resistance people are getting on these transports to try to get to safety, which are these like little lifeboats basically from this big boat. And I guess for some reason the First Order doesn't feel like following these ships, so we'll get away like this. And there's some conflict between Poe and Admiral Holdo, who's now taken over for Leia while she's recuperating. And that's another thing. Laura Dern's character, I was expecting to be this bigger, more major thing, is like Snoke, like a placeholder. Just let's create some tension. We'll put this character and do some things and make you question what's going on, and then boom, she's gone because she kills herself at the end, or she gives herself to help. So that happens. I guess I'm just gonna skip forward here to this is what I'm remembering. They go to Crate, which is this old outpost with a bunch of an old cache of weapons for the Resistance and the Republic. And this is where they're going to make their last stand against the First Order. So while they're the transport ships are trying to get there, this is when the First Order decides, let's not pay attention to the big ship, let's pay attention to the little ships, and just starts picking them off and blowing them up. Now, I'm telling this kind of out of sequence, because this is what I'm remembering as I'm going, because the movie jumps around a lot, and not in a really good way. That it's hard for me to remember it in that way. So they're killing all these people, picking them off. So, basically, the Resistance is down to, 30 people or something, some really small number. Leia gets her strength back and kind of takes control and gets everybody, the last few people she can on this planet, which is like a salt planet with all the red stuff that you've seen in the previews. Kylo Ren is now in control of the First Order, and he wants to go down there and just finish it and destroy the Resistance, because he's found the second wind of complete evil. When they get down there, there's this huge door that the First Order knows they can't get through, so they put some type of big cannon that'll just cut a hole right through this door and destroy it once they get it charged up. So, those that are left of the Resistance are kind of trying to stall this from happening, when Luke finally decides to make an appearance on another planet. And he talks to Leia for a moment and kind of has a touching moment with her. It's very brief, and then goes out there by himself to face the entire First Order. And Kylo Ren sees him and he says, "Focus all your shots on him." And they shoot all these bolts at Luke, and you're like, man, I don't know how he's gonna survive that, but I'm pretty sure he's going to. It'd be interesting to see what he does. And it's a comic moment. They stop shooting after 5 minutes of just total death and destruction on this one spot where Luke Skywalker is standing in front of this giant door, and Luke comes out and just wipes himself off. It's funny, but it still kind of takes me out. I'm like, man, it's a little too much humor here. One thing I noticed about Luke, and this makes sense a little later on, was that Luke suddenly looks a little younger. Like, his beard is not gray, it's dark now, it's colored. His hair is colored, no gray hair. His face, he still looks older, but he looks like as Kylo Ren probably last remembered him when he saw him at the Jedi training school. So Kylo Ren decides to go down and face him himself because he just wants to feel like he's awesome now. And this is where some kind of hokey, cheesy scenes come in, where they're fighting briefly with a lightsaber, and Rian Johnson does his whole slow-mo thing that is just silly to me. That's ridiculously not necessary for this particular sequence, because it's just like a slow-mo shot of a lightsaber going by his face and him just missing it and things like that. I'm like, this is so hokey. It's pulling me out of the movie again. They stop fighting for a moment to kind of yell at each other, and Kylo Ren figures out that Luke is really just projecting himself. He's not really there. He's done this as a diversion to give everybody enough time in the Resistance base that they're about to destroy to get on the Millennium Falcon, and leave and not be tracked. So he's just projecting himself, and then he disappears. Cut back to Luke on the planet where he's actually his old self, and he dies. He ascends. He just withers away like Yoda did, which to me felt pretty cheap. Don't know what to say about that, other than it was just they just turned this awesome legendary character into this hokey old crotchety man who decided to create a diversion for a couple minutes and then go out his own way, I guess. It was silly to me. Like, Rogue One at least had Darth Vader, drop the gauntlet and just like throw down that last minute and show how powerful he was. They could have done something like that here with Luke, but they didn't. I don't know why. And I'm really let down by that. And it didn't have to be crazy, but anyways, Luke really barely does anything in this film other than complain and then kind of argue with himself what to do. There's one interaction earlier that I forgot to mention where Yoda comes back in ghost, force form, and has a very brief conversation with Luke. And again, it's comical and it takes me out of it again. It's not touching when it gets funny. It was just a little too silly how it went. It's cool to see Yoda, but it was a little too silly for me. I was hoping to see Hayden Christensen as Anakin, but he's not in the movie. I'm going to spoil that for you. Hayden Christensen's not in the movie. And I thought for sure, with him being in other movies recently and making an appearance at Star Wars Celebration, he was going to be in this movie. Was not in this movie at all. It would have been nice, but whatever. So Luke disappears. They get away. Basically, this movie didn't leave you with any resolution. Like, The Empire Strikes Back leaves you with a lot of emotional weight into Return of the Jedi. It creates a lot of new scenarios. This movie doesn't do this. They kill Snoke. Admiral Holdo, Admiral Akbar dies. Luke is gone. Leia's not going to be in the next one because her character's gone. I don't know where to go. Like, there's nothing. I still really don't think that what they said about Rey's parents is true. And if it is, leading into the next movie, it makes me not care about her character. There's no emotional connection whatsoever. Like, I was thinking, maybe she's actually Ben's sister. Maybe she's like one of those special births like Anakin was. No, she's not, and I mentioned that earlier. Anyways, they get away. Kylo Ren's now in charge of the First Order. And the Resistance is like whittled down to nothing. And they have to somehow restock up, and kind of be on the fringe to bring back order, freedom and peace to the galaxy. Not the galaxy. Well, yeah, the galaxy. That's the scale they're on. And I'm left with, I don't know, frustration and questions. That's like, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Like, not like, ooh, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? I don't care what's going to happen next. Nothing else can happen next. All the characters I care about are gone. And the ones that I kind of have some investment in have either changed or not much progression has happened with them. Probably the best thing out of this was Kylo Ren, but still, even some of the things his character does all of a sudden doesn't make sense to me. Or I should say doesn't make sense to me. And we end the film with one of the boys who was on Canto Bight with these big animals they race. I guess he's like a trainer or a helper. Gets yelled at by some little, goblin alien and goes out to go sweep the floor. But when he does it, he force pulls this broom to him and then starts sweeping. And I'm like, and then he looks out at the stars because why not, right? I'm like, okay, what's this? This boy obviously has some significance. They end on him at the end of the movie. So this has been a big 35-minute rant. Because I'm pretty let down by this movie. I'll see it again, but I'm not going to pay to see it. I'll see it again like on streaming or wherever I can. But I'm not really left with a desire to go see it again because there's not really much to figure out about this movie. There's a lot of dead ends, a lot of skipping around. it left me like, it's not Star Wars anymore. And I know they want to do something different, but I don't think Rian Johnson was the right pick. I think J.J. Abrams handled The Force Awakens pretty well. I think he knew how important this franchise is. But I don't think Rian Johnson was the guy. And Kathleen Kennedy apparently loves it. They've signed him on for 3 more movies, which, I don't know, may change. If enough people feel the way I feel about this movie, then I think it'll change. Otherwise, I think the people who like it, good for them, and I hope they make another one they like, and that it continues on. But for me, I think I'm kind of, if another one comes out, I'll see it, but I'm not that interested anymore. I think I'm just gonna stick to the first 7 and Rogue One, which I think is a standout movie now, and I think really did the franchise right. And I think this movie didn't do the franchise right. I think it tried to be a comedy. I think it tried to follow a lot of other trends. And I hate that when trendsetters that establish themselves and make something that everybody tries to follow and be like, start trying to be like and follow everybody else. I've seen bands do it and brands do it, and it's like the worst thing in the world to watch. Because it takes them so long to figure out, oh, maybe it's okay to be Star Wars. Or maybe it's okay to be the brand that we established. Maybe we don't have to constantly change and reinvent ourselves. We know, like, this is what worked. This is the story people like. Let's keep doing that. That's what brands, to me, that's what brands are about. You go to certain places because you know what to expect and you're comfortable there. And it's nice when there's a little surprise here and there. But if you shake up that brand too much and you start changing the very fundamentals that brand was established on, whether it's music, a movie, a story, even a store that sells products or services, you have lost your customers. You have loyal customers that you've already won. Don't do anything to lose those. And I think this movie does that. Anyways, leave your comments below. Like it or hate it, whatever. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you want me to post or what you want me to post next. And take it easy, guys. I'll see you later.